Nothing like having your computer update overnight. You wake up in the morning and you're sitting there and it's like, okay, let's get everything squared away like we traditionally do and everything will be fine. And you find out that the computer updated. You've got to redo everything from scratch. Morning, SDH AM. John here, you there, Thursday Thoughts. Here's the deal. It is the Power Hour and hour number 2 with Nino and Nico. We're going to tour the planet with Nino Torres, find out what's on his mind. Traditionally, it has to do with everything South America, Portugal, everything going on at GOLTV. And you can get GOLTV and a lot of other things at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can get all the BNs, you get all of your action there. And they've added some leagues this year. You can now watch the Polish League and BN Sports in addition to France and Turkey and all the other places and all your AFCON and everything in between. Also, you can get, let's see, TVV, CD. Let's see what's live, by the way. Let me just go there and I'll tell you what's live, and you can catch it on a daily basis. Obviously, we're locked into TAISE a lot because of everything going on in Argentina and South America. So the African Nations Championships is around the corner. Once again, you can get that on all the BNs. You've got Liga 1 Max Pro, Uruguay, Argentina, TVV, CDO, Nuestra Tele. Let's see log in, whatever. See, this is what happens. Once again, everything updates overnight. You got to sit there and go, okay, I'm trying to no. It's like when you create your account. Well, I've already got an account. I don't need to do anything. That's the kind of morning. I think this is the kind of morning that it already is. All right. So Nuestra Tele, CDO for the fans. Let's see. It is all the BNs. Let's see. So, and they've wonkified the grid too. I need to log in for this content. Child, please. I just logged in. It's like log in. Continue with your email. All right. So let's do. No, I don't want to unlock my vault. So it's going to be this kind of morning. I got it. All right. So log in for this kind of content. Well, considering that I've already got an account and I've already logged in. All right. So live as an example. This is the kind of morning it's going to be. I have that impression. They're previewing Rossing and River right now on the morning show. Liga 1 Max Pro. All the BNs, BN English and Spanish, TAISE, GOLTV, and that's where our buddy Nino Torres is. CDO, CDO2, TVV, and you've got basketball and 2:30, and then you start to get your South American soccer kicking in later than that. I liked it when it was smaller print. See, now it's bigger print. And you've got to scroll down and all the other things. Okay, so TAISE is doing their morning show. That's the kind of stuff that you get at Fanatis with our buddy Nino Torres. fntz.co/soccer down here. All right. He'll be on first half hour, Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. He's going to be on the second half hour talking about Major League Soccer. First hour, Jess Charman sends her regret. She's battling a migraine. So what we're going to do, obviously, is talk about the draw that happened this morning, and we'll get you into the grid for the playoffs and what it looks like with all the different pots. Interconfederation playoff has been squared away. We know what's going to happen there. We know it's going to be in Mexico from March 23rd to the 31st. So when you see pot A, B, C, and D, and you see Interconfederation wildcard 1 and 2 on the draw on December 5th, that's what all this is. So we're going to get into that. We'll break that down and lay it all out for you as to scenarios and what it might be leaning toward. Nick's conversation with us this morning in our production chat was somewhat colorful. No surprise. So we'll get into the playoff grid with all of the pots, break it down for you, and kind of lean to what we're thinking might go down. Also, college round 2 is kicking off today. So we'll go over the brackets there in hour number 1, look at the matchups across the board, the NCAA, and we'll kind of focus on what's happening there. So that'll be hour number 1. Brackets, playoff. That's hour number 1. Hour number 2, Power Hour with Nino and Nico, where we travel the planet, and we'll find out what's going on in Nico's mind as we go to Major League Soccer. There are a couple of transactions that are being reported as interest involving A, Seattle, and B, Chicago. separately and apart. Jonathan Bell is being linked to Chicago. We'll discuss that with Nico. Brian Gutierrez is being linked to a move with Liga MX. So Chicago is a very, very busy port of call right now. We'll get into that with Nico after 10:30, last half hour of the show. Tomorrow, Kaylor Hodges is going to join us before he travels to Tulsa for the U.S. Championship. It's FC Tulsa, and it is the survivors out of the East. And so you've got that matchup happening, the USL Championship, and you're heading to Tulsa, and it's going to be on TV. So that'll be the last game of the year in USL Championship. And so we'll talk to Kaylor about that, and that'll be on tomorrow, in addition to our catch-up with Major League Soccer and the voices from Apple TV. And so we'll lay into all of that tomorrow. Also, Colorado Springs has a new head coach. Oakland's got a new head coach. The USL Championship Coach of the Year is an individual that did not make the last game of the year. So that was an intriguing thing. All of the stuff that we'll discuss with Kaylor, and that'll be on tomorrow for early run. So FC Tulsa and Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Pittsburgh found offense when Bob Lilly went on administrative leave. What's it going to look like against the folks from FC Tulsa who are going to have the home game? We'll catch up with Kaylor tomorrow. Voices from Apple TV are tomorrow, and hopefully we'll catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. It depends on how busy Greg Garza is. If you follow him on social media, you'll know that he is a very, very busy man helping out Major League Soccer, and I want to get into that as well and find out how he's looking at how receptive players are when it comes to the lessons that he is trying to impart upon players in Major League Soccer. So if it's Greg tomorrow, it's Greg tomorrow. If it's Parky, it's Parky. And we will wax poetic about what happened to Rhode Island Football Club in their loss in the Final Four in the USL Championship, losing 1-0 to Pittsburgh. So another good run for Rhode Island. We'll see if we can catch up with Greg and Cap tomorrow at 9:30. So tomorrow, we know it's going to be Kaylor. We know it's going to be Apple TV. Hoping that it's going to be our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, depending on how busy they are. And we'll get you ready for the weekend across the board because league play gets back up and running. We'll go through juice boxes, get you squared away with everything overseas and all of that. We've also got to get into the story in The Athletic about Steve McLaren and him calling it quits at Jamaica. They did a behind-the-scenes piece on Steve McLaren calling it quits. And we'll get into that as well here in hour number one. Plus whatever's on your mind here this morning on Thursday Thoughts. So it's going to be brackets. It's going to be playoffs and looking at pots. No, this is not pottery class or anything like that. So it's Europe, pots, playoffs, brackets, grids, college, news of the morning to get you to 10 o'clock on our buddy Nino Torres when we go fully loaded around the planet. So that is where we are. Good morning, Ricky. Morning, Alex. Morning, David. All right, let's get into what happened very, very early this morning. Obviously, you'll get something akin to an abridged version. You'll get Jason's early thoughts when Morning Espresso is released later today or later this morning. The draw happened, and yesterday we found out that the Intercontinental Playoff was going to be March 23rd through 31st, and that's going to be in two markets in Mexico, and I wish we could be there. I mean, we probably could. But, we have to kind of get the financials all squared away first or something like that. So that'd be the one thing to sit there and go, well, we'd like to go, but, the whole sponsorship and money thing. But we now know March 23rd and through the 31st. And so that's when you're going to have your Interconfederation Final Four and the winners there. And so we got that is squared away as well. And you want to talk random. I mean, it's like when you look at the names, you're sitting there going, well, yeah, you qualified, but it's just random to stare at. It's just random to stare at. So we'll, I mean, you look at that and you're going, really? What was that? Was that really what came up? But yeah, it was. It absolutely was. So you've got the FIFA rankings came out. The M&T jumps Mexico for the top spot in CONCACAF. El Salvador drops to 100, Suriname to 123, Jamaica down to 70, but once again, it doesn't shift your playoff seedings or anything like that. So the playoff tournament, Guadalajara, Monterrey, and Jamaica and Suriname found out their path. But Guadalajara Stadium and Monterrey Stadium staging the playoff tournament next March, the 16 competition set to take place. The draw was in Zurich as a part of what went down. So here is the rundown of everything that is attached to playoffs. And I know I feel like every time I say it, it should be like Jim Mora or something like that. So here's your pots breakdown. And I feel like I swear I feel like I should have like some kind of just musical accompaniment or something like that. So your path A, and they call them paths instead of, and they call them at FIFA, they call them paths instead of everything else that that we would call them. We call them like brackets or something, or groups. They call them paths. So here's how it broke down. So Italy and Northern Ireland. Italy and Northern Ireland, this is Path A. We should just go ahead and call it what it is. Look, it's Group A. So it's Group A. So you end up with the path being what it is. So you have in Path A, Italy, Northern Ireland, Wales, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Those are your two semifinals. So Italy, Northern Ireland, you could have a path or a group. You could have the Group A final being Northern Ireland and Wales. You literally could have Northern Ireland playing at the winner of Italy and Northern Ireland. Like I said, Nick was really presumptive about these kinds of things. By the way, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Silly me, I forgot to actually promote what was going on. So opening kickoff, there you go. There's your QR code. You start there with the QR code. You hit your QR. What is this with dyed conceit? How did the NYC? I mean, seriously, people. I mean, these bots think they can get away with it. Nothing like a Thursday morning bot to kind of work your way through here. All right, so it is blocked, and now it is being reported. And once again, thanks to all of you folks that jump on these things as well. It's like a universal shtick. And let's see, viewer solicitation bot. 23 characters. Yes, that's it. Typed correctly and out the door. So submitted the report. Anyway, hit that QR code, buy out the store. You buy out the store, you can do it at 15% off. When you use the code soccer down here, 15 at checkout, they in turn take 10%, reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. So your playoff is laid out. So here's the deal. Italy, Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland goes to Italy in the playoff semifinals. Winner of that one goes to Wales or Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia and Herzegovina, at least they're not North Macedonia. They didn't quite lay the egg the size of North Macedonia, but Wales, Bosnia, Herzegovina, the right-hand side of the page is going to be the home side in the group final, the path final. So Path A, Italy's hosting Northern Ireland. Winner of that one goes to visit Wales, Bosnia, Herzegovina. Ireland is going to travel to the Czech Republic, and they're going to get the winners of Denmark's tie against North Macedonia. North Macedonia laid an absolute egg. In the last day of the group stage, they laid an absolute egg and got themselves into this mess. So you have, and that was Path D, by the way. So A, B, C, and D. So Italy and Northern Ireland, they're going to be the away team playing either Wales or Bosnia and Herzegovina. Could you imagine a Northern Ireland-Wales group final and how calm an environment that will be? Italy, Northern Ireland goes to Wales and Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's Group A. We're calling it groups. Yeah, Path A, whatever. It's Group A. Group B, Poland and Albania. So you have Poland and Albania in Group B, Path B, Group B. You have the possibility of the probability, Bart Sleeshin and NAIA Mihai going up against each other in a semifinal to figure out if you're going to play either Ukraine or Sweden. You could have Bart Sleeshin and NAIA Mihai going against each other in a group semifinal. You win twice, you're in the World Cup. But it's only going to be one of you. It's only going to be either Poland or Albania getting out of that matchup first and foremost. Poland and Albania, you've got Sleesh and Mihai going at each other. The winner of that one gets the winner of Ukraine and Sweden. If Ukraine wins, by the way, if Ukraine wins in Group B, Path B, whatever, Poland basically will end up playing 2 matches in their home country. Because of the war in Ukraine, Ukraine has moved their national team operations, and most of the time they're playing at Legia Warsaw Stadium. So Poland, if they beat Albania in the Path B Group B semifinal, would get a home game playing Ukraine if Ukraine beats Sweden in their home country. So think about that as you will. Italy, Northern Ireland, you could have Northern Ireland going to Wales. Once again, if certain scenarios work their way out. Northern Ireland could go to Wales in the Group A Path A final. Poland and Albania squaring off against each other. I can't get over this. Mihai and Bart Sliš for the right to play the winner of Ukraine and Sweden. And if it's Poland, Poland plays 2 matches in their home country on the possibility of getting into the tournament. Group C, Turkey and Romania, they travel to the winner of Slovakia and Kosovo. Now, I'm just going to go look at this just for the record here. So you have Slovakia and Kosovo, and this is where the poli-sci degree in me comes into play. When you have anything going on in Europe, my natural inclination is to sit there and go, hey, let's check out the politics of the matter. So Slovakia and Kosovo, they are the home team in Group C, Path C. So Turkey and Romania, winner of that one travels to the winner of Slovakia and Kosovo. So I decided to sit here and say, okay, Slovakia and Kosovo, Eastern Europe, maybe there's something that we need to pay attention to here when it comes to this particular matchup. This ain't Kentucky and Louisville. This is not Alabama and Auburn. Slovakia and Kosovo. Kosovo's declaration of independence from Serbia was enacted on February 17th of 2008. All 11 reps of the Serb minority boycotted the proceedings. International reaction was mixed. The international community continues to be divided on the issue of international recognition of Kosovo. Slovakia's reaction to the 2008 Kosovo Declaration of Independence is one of non-recognition. So 17 years ago, when Kosovo decided that they were going to become, they declared their independence from Serbia, Slovakia's reaction, non-recognition. On the day of the declaration, the Slovak Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement. Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Slovak Republic takes note of the Kosovo unilateral declaration of independence. For the time being, Slovakia does not consider recognizing Kosovo on the basis of this declaration. Slovakia has always been in favor of the final settlement of the Kosovo status based upon an agreement with the decisive role of the UN Security Council in accordance with the UN-approved principles of the contact group. Slovakia will support all activities of the UN, the EU, NATO, OSCE, and the Council of Europe regarding Kosovo, primarily by the means of Slovak participation in NATO and the EU missions based on UN Security Council Resolution 1244. In February 2008, several high officials of Slovakia made statements regarding Kosovar independence. Prime Minister Robert Fico said, quote, "I do not exclude the possibility that Slovakia will never recognize Kosovo. Kosovo is not some independent territory. It's an integral part of Serbia, where Serbs and members of the Albanian ethnic minority live. The Declaration of Independence violates the basic principles of international law." Statements continued in 2009. Visits to Belgrade in 2009 and 2010, 2012, Global Security Forum. 22. Like I said, this has been going. The Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico, 2015, 7 years after independence was declared, stated Slovakia does not intend to recognize Kosovo. October 7, 2022, Slovak Prime Minister Eduard Heger met with the president of Kosovo, Vjosa Osmani, in Prague as part of her meetings undertaken during her participation at the European political community, emphasized the need to jointly overcome the challenges and in committing to the strengthening of cooperation between their countries. April of 23, Slovakia, along with Bosnia-Herzegovina, Greece, Moldova, and Ukraine, abstained in the vote to approve Kosovo's membership in the Council of Europe. So, yeah, nothing happening here. Nothing happening in that matchup at all. And they're the home side in Group C. Slovakia, Kosovo, who have history going back 17 years to Kosovar independence. I'm hoping that the police forces will be plentiful for that matchup. Turkey and Romania in Path C, winner of that one goes to the winner of Slovakia and Kosovo. That is the poli-sci major in me naturally gravitates toward finding out the geopolitical impact of something like this. I had forgotten 2008, considering it was 17 years ago, but it was my natural inclination to look and find out the background politically of a matchup like this. Does something exist? Sure enough, 2008. So 17 years of political back and forth. And so now what do? You put them in one matchup to get them one match closer to possibly being in the cup that the world is chasing after next year. So no intrigue here. It's just going to be a humdrum matchup wherever it's going to be. Nothing. And then in Path D, Denmark and North Macedonia. Like I said, North Macedonia laid an absolute egg last day of the qualifying. Winner of that one goes to Czechia or the Republic of Ireland. Italy, Northern Ireland goes to the winner of Wales and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Poland and Albania goes to Ukraine or Sweden. And if it's Ukraine, then Poland, if they win, stays in Poland. Path C, Slovakia and Kosovo host the winner of Turkey and Romania. Path D, Denmark or North Macedonia, and I'm thinking it's going to be Denmark after what we saw or didn't see out of North Macedonia, goes to the winner of Czechia and the Republic of Ireland. Wales and Northern Ireland in Cardiff. Republic of Ireland, once again, everything there. They got to travel to the Czech Republic in the semis. But once again, if they get the win in Prague, they get a home final with Denmark or North Macedonia. 4 teams to the World Cup through the playoff semifinals taking place on March 26th before the finals on the 31st. 30 days ahead, September, April, June, and November, March 31st. Wales and the Republic of Ireland had been drawn from Pot 3 after finishing second in their qualifying groups. Northern Ireland reached the playoffs via Nations League, and they were looking for that semifinal from Pot 4. Ukraine's getting Graham Potter's Sweden. So Graham Potter still is trying to push Sweden into the World Cup. Winners getting whoever prevails in Poland and Albania, Slovakia or Kosovo, get the 4th final with Turkey or Romania. The Interconfederation playoff, non-UEFA nations against one another. Jamaica gets to chase after their first World Cup final since 98, getting New Caledonia out of Oceania in the semis. Winner of that one gets the winner of top seed DRC, and Jamaica, once again, is going to be chasing after a new manager after the resignation of Steve McClaren. We'll catch up with that in a sec. So New Caledonia, New Caledonia and Jamaica, and the winner gets DR Congo. Bolivia and Suriname playing off for the final against Iraq. Monterrey, Guadalajara, late March, 23 through 31. So that's your layout for what happened, and that the paths that are clear. The paths that are clear. Now, I don't know what North Macedonia did to piss Wales off, but yeah, North Macedonia, traditionally, when we see North Macedonia, it's kind of like watching Iceland, at least in the past. North Macedonia, it's like they're just kind of be there, and they're going to wait for you to make a mistake. It's like a 90-minute staring contest with North Macedonia. But the last day of group stage, they gave up 7. If they had posted a result, they wouldn't have been anywhere in this path group stuff. But we mentioned yesterday the U.S. men's national team and either boot or belt to ass. That's what happened in the last group stage day for North Macedonia. That put them in the group/Path D. And I think they get bounced by Denmark. And then they have to travel to either Czechia or the Republic of Ireland. So, yeah, it was just, man, it was bad. You're sitting there going, okay, yeah, and then North Macedonia with what they've been able to build, yeah, cool, okay, great. And then they just get, literally it's like the scene in the old Westerns where you have the camera outside the saloon and you just kind of see the guy getting tossed through the window. That was North Macedonia on the last day of the group stage. They got tossed through the saloon window and out onto the dirt, and the horses are all looking at North Macedonia getting tossed going, bruh, pay your bill. So that's your layout. And yes, so I don't even know if it's clean old-fashioned hate, but yeah. There's always in these tournaments, in these group tournaments, the group stages, the playoffs, play-ins, what have you, there's always that matchup, kind of like we always see in the NCAA basketball tournament, where you go down, you sit there like an old coach going up against his old school, something like that. Except this one has to do with the independence of a country and the non-recognition publicly of same 17 years and counting. So we'll just put that in a group. Yeah, we'll just have that. We'll just have that in a pot. And you'll play each other first. Y'all sort it out, and whoever's the survivor here, then you can figure it out and you'll be one match closer to getting into the World Cup. But first, you've got to go after this country, if you're Kosovo, that did not recognize you when you declared independence 17 years ago. And don't think for a second that outside the stadium where that match is going to be held, that you will not have a few individuals discussing their displeasure one way or the other. But no, that was just strictly, they were just in the pots, and that was how it came out. David Stern and the old wives' tale with the New York Knicks and the frozen envelope. Gianni Infantino perhaps learned from David Stern and the New York Knicks and the frozen envelope about these things. So, yes. So now we know the 4 groups / paths, those 16 plus the 6 that are going to be in Mexico in late March. New Caledonia. Good on them. New Caledonia and Jamaica. Like I said, we'll get into Jamaica in just a sec. Let me say hi to everybody here this morning. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Alex. Morning, David. Damn bot. And apparently Will is transplanting peppers. I can understand how that is annoying. Yes, and Will, the weekend between when daylight saving and Eastern Standard. Yes. Games Tuesday or listed an hour earlier. I don't know if this is Georgia Tech or Georgia Southern app. I really don't. I mean, if you're looking at that, that side, I don't know. This might be like Revolutionary War stuff. This might be like 1776 with England and the United States. That's how far back this may go. Something of that level of hatred. I mean, it's like, because, I mean, think about it, that you have one country not recognize the other. It sounds familiar from about 250 years ago. So that's what it might be. It might be more Revolutionary War stuff, even though neither was directly impacted in the other's independence. But neighboring countries, sure, why not? I think it's clean old-fashioned deeper than hate. Yeah, it's definitely more than the college football hate. Morning, Will, by the way. Yeah, and so yes, and Will, I agree with you. Spencer and Holly and everybody and Ryan Nani, absolutely true. The Spencer Hall principle, everything can be described through college football and wrestling. I agree with you. And that is why, we have the discussions the way that we do sometimes. Because literally, if you sit there and break it down into college football or wrestling, then those of us that may not understand what's going on overseas have an instant base of our understanding. This was how, and this is how, personally, this is how I got the boss to understand what's going on in the Premier League. Because I didn't get back into the Premier League and watching it, with any great detail until The four-letter had the contract, and it was Ian Dark and Steve McManaman, and it was the year that you had Manchester City and Manchester United fighting to the day, the last day of the season, and City's playing QPR, and they go up a man, down a goal because Joey Barton had a fit of stupid in a day that ended in Y. And so that day when she was watching me watch what was going on the last day of the regular season, I was trying to explain. She sits down with me on that Saturday morning, and she's like, well, why is this? What's going on here? And so what I did, and what I continue to do to this day, is I break down matchups that I'm watching, regardless of where they are around the planet, into SEC college football parlance. So I'll sit there and I'll say, okay, this is Alabama playing Missouri in Columbia, and Missouri is winning. I say that, she gets it immediately. She understands the context. She understands the value of the matchup, what the alleged level of accomplishment is, and the level of talent for those teams. So that is how I literally, to the boss, pictured here for those watching on the video side, that's how I break it down for the boss. I sit there and I will break it down into SEC matchups, and she'll get it. Okay, so I understand. So if I ever bust out an old school a couple of years ago, before Clark Lee went to Vandy, if I ever break out, say, Alabama versus Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt is winning in Tuscaloosa, that's like up here, down here, underdog, massively winning on the road. So that's what I do with the boss, and she gets it at that point. She understands, okay, so I know what he's watching now. And so then she'll have that knowledge base and work her way through. So Will, I'm right there with you. I've done that with the boss for 15 years in explaining matchups around the world when it comes to soccer. So absolutely true. But yeah, if you had Northern Ireland and Ireland, but I mean, you're close. I mean, you're absolutely close. You got Northern Ireland and Wales. That's close. It's like it's the same cul-de-sac, different neighbor. It's not the neighbor that you have the dispute with over the fence and the tree falls, and who's paying for the tree, and it fell into your yard. That's Northern Ireland and Wales. In this matchup, if you had Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, that would be that. Northern Ireland and Ireland would be the fence line is different. Whose side of the culvert are we picking? Who the tree fell in my yard? You're paying for it. No, I'm not. Northern Ireland and Wales is like the same subdivision, the same cul-de-sac, but one of those has like the 5 and the 6-year-old kids that leave like the big wheels out in the street, and you've got to constantly drive around them. Or they have the kid that wears the helmet, and he's got the green machine, and he's just kind of driving around in the cul-de-sac, and you're trying to get into your garage. And because he's constantly just doing the circle in front of you, that's kind of Northern Ireland and Wales for me. They got the annoying kid who just likes to run his big wheel and block traffic, and then when he's done, he'll just leave the big wheel in the cul-de-sac, and he'll go and play someplace else and leave the big wheel there. That's Northern Ireland and Wales. Northern Ireland and Ireland are next-door neighbors. Tree falls in the yard. Who's paying for the fence? Who's paying for the tree? Who's removing the tree? How much of the tree you're removing? If it knocked over the branches, hit the roof or everything, and it caused roof damage, you're bickering over, well, no, the tree fell that way, and so it's on the tree, and so, well, the tree's in your yard, but no, it's not, I'm not paying for that because the tree decided to fall that way. That's Northern Ireland and Ireland. Northern Ireland and Wales, that's the annoying kid that leaves the big wheel in the cul-de-sac, and you've got to drive around it or pick it up and move it off to the side, and then the parents get mad that you moved his big wheel as you're trying to get into your own garage. That's Northern Ireland and Wales. Northern Ireland and Ireland, that's next door neighbors that really hate each other. One's got the barking dog. One's got the like Yorkie that thinks he's the size of the German Shepherd, and the other's got the German Shepherd that just likes to bark at like 3 a.m. anyway. 3 a.m. I want to come in. I'm going to bark. He beats the chickens and the roosters in the farm that's on the other side of the subdivision to the crack of dawn barking and that kind of a thing. That's Northern Ireland and Ireland. Northern Ireland and Wales, not so much. So that's kind of where you're at. But, yeah, if you had Northern Ireland and Ireland in your paths in your same group, That would take Slovakia and Kosovo to an entirely different level because you wouldn't have them playing each other immediately. They'd be on the other side. You have to figure out your home site, and then it would be that matchup to get into the cup the world is chasing after next year. So that's what you would have if it was Northern Ireland and Ireland. Northern Ireland and Wales close, same subdivision, different kid. So that's kind of where that's kind of what you're staring at there with those two, or those four really. Okay, so that is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Let me see, where is it? Where's the QR code? There it is. Thank you, Abby, for making the QR code, by the way. Hit that QR code. You start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And then from there, use the code SoccerDownHere15 at checkout. Use that code. You buy out the store, which is what we request that you do. You buy out the store. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. Check out there, and then you start your day, and they take 10% reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, once again, remember, coming up, top of the hour, it is our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV. We tour the planet. 10:30, last half hour of the show, our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. We're going to start going over MLS. We'll go over some of the moves, some of the coaching, some of the roster decisions that have been made so far. We'll get into Major League Soccer last half hour, and that'll kind of turn our coverage toward the weekend, and we'll look at juice boxes for the Final Eight and all that kind of stuff. So touring the planet at 10 o'clock as we go fully loaded with Nino Torres. Last half hour of the show is our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. Get you ready for MLS, and we'll get you squared away when it comes to the rest of the weekend. Okay, now, college brackets. We got to get into that and let you know what's going on there, and we'll show you what the latest is when it comes to everything there. Now, here's what's going on. We mentioned that in NCAA, we've got a bunch of different divisions and a bunch of different folks that are chasing after it. So the second round is today for both the men and the women. Getting into your matchups today on the D1 side, as you look at the bracket itself, we'll go back over the matchups and let you know what's going on. It is Notre Dame hosting Ohio State, 6 o'clock. Baylor and Wisconsin in the 4-5, that's at 3. Winner of that one, winner of those two get each other, and that happens on Sunday. Once again, location TBA. 2 o'clock this afternoon, Florida State hosting Lipscomb. Lipscomb had the surprise of the upper left bracket on the women's side in Division I by knocking off Mississippi State, the 6th seed, 1-0. Florida State gets to host again as a 3, but it's against Lipscomb in Tallahassee at 2 o'clock. The 2-7 is Georgetown and West Virginia. That one's at 5 o'clock. That's upper left bracket, Division I. Low left, TCU and Memphis, and this is it's chalk, the 2-7. Memphis wins over Illinois. TCU shut out Grambling, so TCU hosts Memphis at 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Texas Tech hosting North Carolina at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Today at 5 o'clock, LSU hosting Iowa as the 4-5. And Clemson to Vanderbilt tonight at 8. So mostly chalk on the left-hand side of the bracket. Right-hand side of the bracket, upper right. Stanford and Alabama, that's at 10 o'clock tonight, 10 o'clock tomorrow. So tomorrow, late night, Stanford and Alabama, right-hand side, upper right. Tomorrow also, 7 o'clock, BYU goes to UCLA. Colorado and Xavier today at 3 at Colorado. Wake at Michigan State tonight at 6. Low right. Duke, UCF at Duke at 6:30. Louisville and Kansas. It's a different kind of UK-UL. But Louisville's at Kansas at 4 o'clock. Washington hosting Arkansas at 3 o'clock. Penn State at Virginia at 6 o'clock. So once again, you've got a lot of teams from the ACC making their way through on the men's side, or on the women's side. So Notre Dame adjacent. You have Florida State as a 3. You've got North Carolina coming in as an unseeded upset. LSU out of the SEC. Clemson. So it's 4 out of the ACC and 2 out of the SEC on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side. Right-hand side, Virginia makes it 5-2. Arkansas makes it 5-3. Duke makes it 6-3. Wake makes it 7-3. And Stanford makes it 8. Alabama makes it 4. So 12 of the teams that are left, 8 out of the ACC on the women's side, 4 out of the SEC on the women's side. So keep an eye on all of that today and tomorrow. We actually do now have the Division II bracket, and it's not a full 32. It's like 28, I think. And so just to go through the teams that we may know that are a part of this, no one really in the upper left part of the bracket. A lot of teams in the Midwest and the upper Midwest in the low left part of the bracket. Simon Fraser, for those of you that follow Canadian athletics, Simon Fraser is a Division II NCAA team because they didn't think that the competition that they had in Canadian college and university was up to their level, so they applied for NCAA citizenship like a decade ago, and they're in Division II. A bunch of the Cal Polys are in it. Colorado and Texas women's. Lenore Ryan for Bart is a 6, and they are hosting Columbus State out of the Peach Belt. Upper right is where you have the Peach Belt Impact. Columbus State tomorrow at noon, hosting Lenore Ryan. North Georgia as the 2 is hosting Anderson. So tomorrow, noon and 3, Columbus State, Lenore Ryan in your first matchup, and then UNG and Anderson. You've survived that. You've really survived something because you've got Columbus State and you've got UNG in the same bracket as a 2 and a 3. So the 21st tomorrow, noon and 3, after we're off the air tomorrow, Columbus State, Lenore Ryan, UNG, and Anderson. Then you've got Lander out of the Peach Belt, who's a 5. They're going to Francis Marion. That's at noon tomorrow. And then you have Catawba and Belmont Abbey. That is at 3 o'clock. Lee and Montevallo is also at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Winner of that one gets Nova Southeastern out of the Sun Conference. And then you have Florida Tech and Embry-Riddle. And the winner of that one gets West Florida, who is the number 1 out of the upper right-hand section in Division II. But keep an eye on what's going on in Dahlonega tomorrow. UNG and Anderson after Columbus State and Lenore Ryan. We'll find out what's going on there, and we'll see if we can catch up with Jay Entlick at some point during the weekend or maybe leading into the weekend for Red Clay to get you prepped for everything in Division II. Division III, and this is where Emory comes into play on both the men's and the women's side. Remember, we're still on the women's side. So we've gotten to the Sweet 16, and in the rundown of what is up, it is, where is Emory? Emory and Johns Hopkins is Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning. They are low right bracket. They are also attached to Washington and Lee and Pomona Pitzer. So low right, semifinals, round of 16, Emory gets Johns Hopkins. Emory last week knocked off Belhaven 6-0, knocked off Rhodes 2-0. And so now they get Johns Hopkins, but low right in the round of 16. It's going to be Emory, Johns Hopkins, the winner there, and the winner of Washington, Lee, and Pomona Pitzer. So let's get you found out as to where things are when it comes to the women's side of things. Obviously, we'll catch up on the men's side here in just a sec. But when it comes to women's soccer, and it came down to geography, it wasn't one of those where it was, trying to figure out, okay, so I don't want a women's soccer, God bless you and everything. Fine, whatever, great. I don't want to answer a survey, but I will go ahead just so I can see what's going on. It's not, I don't want to be recruited. I literally do not want to be recruited by Emory University. And I might be clicking the wrong thing and everything, but let's see, November 20. I'll just go to the calendar. How about that? Let's do that. Women's soccer versus Johns Hopkins, 11 o'clock in the morning. Let's get our details here. So looking at the sectional, it is at Alston Parker Watt Field. 11 and 1:30, Johns Hopkins and Emory and Pomona Pitzer and Washington Lee. And it is all at Washington and Lee in Lexington, Virginia. So they kind of picked the midpoint, which is what I kind of figured, because I was told that was going to be the case. It wasn't going to be higher seed or anything like that. They tried to make it geographically desirable. So Johns Hopkins goes to Virginia. Emory travels up to Virginia. Washington and Lee is the home team of the 4. Pomona Pitzer has to travel from one end of the planet to the other. Okay. So now that we've got that figured out, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Emory Johns Hopkins, Washington Lee hosting Pomona Pitzer. Those two, winners of those, Sunday afternoon at 1 at Washington and Lee will play to get into the Final Four in Division III on the women's side. Man, I had to go around everything to try to figure that one out. Of course, it was me. What else is new? So, now Division I on the men's side. We take a peek at the bracket. And once again, it's not a full tournament full. So Furman is your 16. They play the winner of Clemson and Western Michigan. That one is today at 6 o'clock. Syracuse, Hofstra, Clemson, Western Michigan, both are at 6 o'clock. Syracuse and Hofstra, winner feeds to the 1 seed in Vermont. Clemson, Western Michigan, the winner feeds to Furman, who's the 16 seed. Duke and Fairleigh Dickinson is today at 1 o'clock. That one feeds to Princeton. Michigan, Notre Dame, that one feeds to Akron, 6 o'clock tonight. And once again, the winners of what happened today in Division I on the men's side, they feed to action that is going on Sunday. So Thursday, Sunday for the men in Division I. UCLA Grand Canyon, winner goes to San Diego. Denver and UC Irvine, Zot. I just like saying that because it's an anteater. UC Irvine, Denver, the winner of that one goes to Portland. Upper right Division I. Once again, we mentioned Duke and FDU, winner goes to Princeton. Michigan, Notre Dame, winner goes to Akron. Seton Hall and Siena, winner goes to Bryant. St. Louis, the Billikens, and Kentucky, winner goes to the 6th seed Indiana. That's upper right. Low left, Oregon State, Washington, winner goes to SMU. Kansas City and Lindenwood. That's a geographically decent matchup. Winner of that one has to spend money and go to Stanford on Sunday night. Cornell Lafayette, winner goes to UConn. North Carolina, North Florida, the Ospreys. Winner of that one goes to Maryland. That's low left. Then low right, UCF and Florida Atlantic. Winner of that one goes to Georgetown. West Virginia St. John's, winner goes to High Point. Marshall and Cleveland State, winner goes to Raleigh to take on the 15 seed NC State. UNC Greensboro, who was the number 2 out of the SoCon after losing in the final to Furman. Furman ends up with your 16 seed. UNC Greensboro and Elon, the Fighting Phoenix, they take on each other this afternoon at 5. Winner goes to Virginia to play in Charlottesville on Sunday. So that's Division I. Division II, now that we know the men's side of things, Division II bracket is now up and running. We'll check and see if there's anybody that is in our footprint. Nobody in the upper left. Nobody in the lower left. Let's see what it looks like out of the Peach Belt. And you've got Palm Beach Atlantic, who's your 1 upper left. Flagler and Young Harris play tomorrow at 3 at Flagler. Flagler being the home team. Then the winner goes and plays Palm Beach Atlantic Sunday at 3. West Florida hosting Rollins. That one is a 4-5. That one is Sunday at 1 o'clock. Anderson, Lincoln Memorial, the Rail Splitters, one of the best nicknames out there. Lincoln Memorial and Anderson is a 7-10. That's tomorrow. Winner of that one goes to Lynn in Florida. Florida Tech and Mississippi College out of the Gulf South as the 6. They'll play on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So you have Anderson, Lincoln Memorial, 7-10, plays the 2. The 3-6 matchup's already squared away. Those 2 teams will play 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So a little bit in the footprint out of Division II, but not a lot. Division III men. We'll go to the NAIA after this. So once again, upper left, nobody that we know or that's in the footprint. Low left, no one that we follow in the footprint. Low right is where Emory and Rowan come to play, and that one is on Saturday afternoon at 3:30. Emory knocked off Maryville, and this is at Hampton-Sydney. Emory beat Maryville at Hampton-Sydney, and then Hampton-Sydney, who shut out Otterbein, loses to Emory, being shut out 3-0 on the weekend at the same time that the women were playing. So Emory advances to take on Rowan. Rowan shut out Bridgewater State, and they shut out Wesleyan of Connecticut. So low right in your bracket, Saturday afternoon, 3:30, Emory and Rowan. And then you have Lynchburg playing Dickinson to advance to that game on Sunday at 3 o'clock. That's low right in your bracket, Division III. WashU out of the UAA, the same conference that Emory's in. Trinity of Texas, Augsburg and Cortland, that's upper right. So the representation here in the SDH footprint in the red clay is all low right with Emory. So Emory and Rowan, that's what you're staring at when it comes to Division III. NAIA. And this is, once again, a lot of stuff with brackets and things. And so we'll get into your brackets. Beginning the quest to get to Orange Beach. The championship bracket. Once again, it is first round matchups, and we'll go with teams in the footprint. Rocky Mountain and Union Commonwealth. Winner of that one gets top seed Bethel. This is upper left. Georgia Gwinnett is a 9 seed. They host Rio Grande. And if I'm not mistaken, this is at GGC. So Rio Grande goes to take on the 9 seed Georgia Gwinnett. Cumberland of Tennessee is your 8. And they get the winner of Carroll, Montana, and Wiley, Texas. That's round 2. First round matchups, you have 16 teams that will make their way in and have the play-in round to get you into a round of 32. So it's a 48-team tournament, and Georgia Gwinnett, you won't see them until round number 2. They're waiting on folks. So Georgia Gwinnett in the 9 waiting on, and they've got Rio Grande in round number 2. Cumberland of Tennessee is the 8. They're waiting on Carroll of Montana and Wiley of Texas. Kaiser is waiting on the winner of Dalton State and who is that? Warner Pacific out of Oregon. Small print. 4 seed. LSU Shreveport's the 13. They're taking on Faulkner. Cumberland's Kentucky's the 12. They're taking on Xavier of Louisiana. Life Georgia's your 5. They're waiting on the winner of Milligan and LSU Alexandria. That's the left-hand side of the bracket. A lot of those folks, we won't see them until round 2. Oklahoma Wesleyan, and if you missed the interview that we did with one of the new franchises in the NPSL, severe ties to the Oklahoma Wesleyan team. One of the freshmen is the club president. Go back and listen to that when it's on the network. Oklahoma Wesleyan's your 2. They wait for the winner of Oklahoma City and Westcliff. Then you've got William Carey as the 10 out of the Southern States taking on John Brown in round number 2. And that's it for upper right. It is Lindsey Wilson out of the Mid-South. They're the 6th seed, and they're waiting for Harris Stowe and Ottawa of Nebraska. So that's the men's side. So a lot of the activity that you've got, Dalton State is in a play-in situation on the men's side. Georgia Gwinnett is a 9. Life University is a 5. Cumberland's Kentucky is a 12. Faulkner is an unseeded team coming in out of the Southern States, and William Carey is a 10. So you have some representation in the red clay here with those teams in rounds 1 and 2 on the men's side when it comes to the soccer bracket for the NAIA. Now on the women's side, you have 40 teams that are squared away getting ready for that bracket as well. Your first round matchups include Talladega of Alabama, who is, I believe, in for the first time. It is Campbellsville of Kentucky, Xavier of Louisiana. It is second round matchups. You have folks that are waiting. Oklahoma Wesleyan, once again, waiting for other folks. Cumberland's Kentucky and Columbia, Missouri. Life Georgia on the women's side gets Tennessee Wesleyan in round number 2. Tennessee Wesleyan, once again, more defensive-minded. Life bringing in a bunch of goals. And so you'll have that collision in round number 2. John Brown of Arkansas, William Carey out of the Southern States is waiting for their first round matchup. It is Truett McConnell, who got in from the Appalachian Athletic Conference. They're taking on Cumberland in round number 2. And Kaiser of Florida takes on Georgia Gwinnett in round number 2. Once again, Maddie Cruz has been all over Georgia Gwinnett. And so when they get into the tournament, we'll probably have Maddie in to talk about GGC. Southeastern from the Sun Conference takes on Lindsey Wilson. And that's your rundown on the women's side when it comes to the NAIA. Once again, home sites, Thursday, 8 matches, action on Saturday with the 16-team bracket that is attached there. So all of these opening round games that we were discussing, Talladega with their matchup, it was Cumberland's of Kentucky and Xavier of Louisiana. And it was, okay, so those are the matchups in the footprint on the 20th today on the women's side of the NAIA before we get into the second round matchups this weekend that included, as we were talking, Cumberland's of Kentucky, Life of Georgia taking on Tennessee Wesleyan, John Brown of Arkansas, William Carey's a 2 seed out of the Southern States Athletic Conference, Truett McConnell is a 10, They're playing Cumberland of Tennessee. And Kaiser is a 14. They're taking on Georgia Gwinnett. Southeastern out of the Sun Conference, where we normally see SCAD, is an 11 taking on Lindsey Wilson. And that is the rundown of all of the brackets. Whew. That's your college game, people. And so that's all of the brackets that are there. That is attached to everything going on in playoffs. And since it is hour number two, which is one more than one, it is time where we go on our Thursdays. We go down to Lima, Peru. We check out the artwork over the man's left shoulder, which is very, very pretty, very, very nice. And so now it's time to go fully loaded in hour number 2 to bring in our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV, where we always greet the man and we go, yellow, yellow, yellow. What is up?
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Soccer Down here, fans. Nino Torres with you on this glorious and absolutely stunning Thursday. No, I'm just kidding because it's all just great and it's horrible. It's a horrible day, but it is a beautiful day inside. All right. So thank you for being here today, and thank you for having me, man.
As always, it's always fun to see you, my friend, and to catch up on things. And as always, I don't look at your list because – I want to be just as surprised with my reactions to the topics that you bring to the table. And I did glance to topic number 1 and plug something back in. Whatever just happened, you're not as crisp. So something happened. Did something come unplugged real quick?
Yeah, no. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. Okay.
Good now. I'll just make it
You're good. You got it. Okay. We were discussing yesterday what went down with the men's national team with the U.S. And a lot of the folks that watch the show and listen to the show, I said it was like you went out in your backyard in your farm, and you see that stick that just kind of fell out of the tree, that really long, thin stick, and you sit there and it's like, yeah. Someone gets me mad. My dad gets mad. He goes out back. He finds that thin stick, and he's just going to come after me with it. Like if I broke the window with the baseball, throwing it in the backyard and I broke the glass, he finds that stick. He's coming after me with it. That's what it was with the men's national team. It was boot or belt to what. And it's interesting that yesterday it was announced that the national team of Uruguay is having a presser later today. Is this it for Marcelo Bielsa? Was this where the protege, the young man who had his parents answer the door in the middle of the night and let Marcelo Bielsa in, who was coaching 3 hours away? It's like, I want to see your son. He goes into the bedroom, stares at him, pulls back the covers. They look at his legs. It's like, all right, get him on the bus. You have the protege take the mentor out back and get a whooping on him. Is this it for Marcelo Bielsa?
Most likely it is. And the same press conference on the same place at the Centenario when happened was it 2019 when they decided to fire Oscar Tavares. To bring in a new coach, and this is when Marcelo Bielsa goes for press conferences, something big happens. Something big happens. He doesn't call for press conference just like that. No. And I've witnessed many of those episodes when he always comes up with bold statements. In this case. Man, it's so hard because out of this is the last run of Marcelo Bielsa with the Celeste. Okay, out of the last 18 games, he won only 5. 5. He was outscored 16-14, and in 10 of those last 18 games, Uruguay didn't score a single freaking goal. In 10 games out of the last 18. Okay. And of course, since day one, he was facing adversity. He was facing a big group of the elite circle of soccer in Uruguay. Didn't like him, right? talking about the presence of clubs, talking about the media. He was fighting against the media over and over and over again because it's almost a capital sin to have an Argentine coach in Uruguay. We're 4 times world champion. Why you have an Argentine coach? We have enough talent here. Like, all right. So it's that chauvinism that affects a lot in soccer all over the world, especially in these countries and especially in my country too. And but I think he lost the touch with the team. The team doesn't produce, and it doesn't help either having key players getting injured.
Yeah.
Right. Darwin. The last steps of Suarez. Many people in Uruguay are not happy with Suarez. Why you stay in the national team? Why you just don't quit? Man, you're an old man. Just go have fun in Miami and have some margaritas with Messi, and then just leave this national team alone. The team, the intensity that Marcelo Bielsa's teams require, he doesn't have that. So you have many pieces that of this puzzle that they're not coming in together, and on top of that, getting beat by all due respect to the U.S. men's national team, right? But I'm sorry, it's kind of like offensive for you to want to get beat by the U.S. Okay, so
all right,
yeah, for my U.S. fans, but it is what it is, man. So we're talking about 4-time world champions, and getting beat in. And by Mauricio Pochettino also. So that's way too many factors. And the last time that Uruguay got beat by 5-0 was 25 years ago.
Wow.
25 years ago by Colombia. All right. So it's a long time since since the Celeste 8-5 goals in a game, But I'm pretty sure this is gonna be it for Marcelo. He's done.
Well, because I remember the only other time I can remember him calling a press conference like this was, and everybody was wondering, hey, is he going to quit? Is he going to quit? Is he going to quit? He has that 2.5-hour PowerPoint presentation where he's trying to explain to folks, I don't need to cheat. When he was a manager over in England, that's the last time I remember any kind of a presser involving Marcelo Bielsa was called, and everybody's saying, oh, he's going to quit. And he says, he lays out the entire PowerPoint presentation, and Frank Lampard got mad all over again. That's the only other time I can think of something like this, but you think this is it?
Yes, definitely. And especially because of the technical director, he's not lined up with him. There's in Uruguay, there's this, what's it called? It's soccer council. That's what they have. I will never understand what the freak is a soccer council that it works in Uruguay, and they take the decisions. And in that council, 75% of the members don't like Marcelo Bielsa.
Wow.
So they got a meeting yesterday. They arrived to Uruguay at 7 a.m. The meeting was at 9 a.m. So when you speed up the process like that, yeah, it means he's gonna go. Whoever's in charge is gonna go. Okay. And that's how they do it in Uruguay. They got there, they got the bad result, meeting, press conference, good night and good luck. That's not it, Johnny, but the problem is they don't have any. The World Cup is around the corner. Mm-hmm. All right, the World Cup is around the corner. The next time they're going to play is in March. So you need to get somebody now, but right now, to start working with the players to get them prepped for the first international FIFA break that is in March. So it's I don't know. It's crazy, but these things like that happen right on the verge of a World Cup. Soccer drama happens somewhere. Someone is losing the job. Someone is coming. Someone is getting injured. And please, talking about injuries, I do want to see all the superstars healthy for the next World Cup. That's my wish.
Absolutely. Topic number 2, and we mentioned it's same thing's going on in Jamaica. Steve McLaren, after he didn't qualify, he resigned, and he was apparently in tears. And there's some backstory to that. We'll get into that after later on this hour. Parrot and the Peaky Blinders got World Cup playoff business lined up. That's some obscure British television, man.
I know, and you know what?
Peaky
It's
Blinders. I
I
can't
watch
remember the first time Peaky Blinders got referenced.
because hey, that's what these guys are, man. They're badasses, man. They're badass players, man. That's what the Ireland is doing. Especially when I watched that game against Portugal, I was like, oh, this is. Of course, I have doubts about my candidate to win the World Cup next year after this performance. But then Cristiano gets sent off, and then the next game they just destroy Armenia. I mean, they put 9 goals on them, but that the focus wasn't there. The focus was between Ireland and Hungary. By the way, I think this Hungary team proved that they were overrated for me. Many people would not agree with me, but for me, they were overrated. But they got talented players, but you gotta put the pieces together. So with Parrot, right? 2, not 1, not 2, but a hat trick, brother. A hat trick. In an away game, in the very last second of the game. It wasn't a beauty. It was just pure hustle, man. And that brings you the fighting Irish. That's what they are, the fighters. The fighters, and they deserve to go, man. I don't know what is going to happen. They play Italy in the playoff. So I'm telling you now, after hearing Gattuso crying, whining, and complaining, I don't know. It might get the chance to miss the World Cup again.
Yeah.
Italy. That's the most likely scenario for me. I'll put all my money on the Irish to go against Italy all day long. All day long, brother. All day long.
Yep. Our Nicolifi, who is a part of our Soccer Over There program on Monday nights, he is already sitting there saying, nope, it's not going to happen for his Italy at all. It is not going to happen for Italy one bit. He is not optimistic that they're going to get out of that first matchup.
And it's just crazy, right? Because Syria is regaining their status of one of the top 5 leagues in the world. Inter is winning. They got into the finals of the Champions League. Players are getting better. You got players coming into the league, like not as they used to, but at least they're regaining status as a league, but known as a national team. That the success of the Syria is not it's not translating into a national team, and that's a shame, man. That's a shame because there's a lot of Italian players I would love to see in the World Cup, man.
Well, the larger issue, and this is an issue that we have seen here in the U.S. with the women's side, is that Italy's national team only wants to work with veteran players. They want to work with the older players, and they stay with those older players and that generation too long, and then you have that smash of, okay, they've all hit the wall. We've got to redo it, but we're going to redo it with veterans. We're not going to integrate younger players into the Italian roster. So it's a seamless transition of the older players phasing out, the younger players phasing in. It literally is veteran, smash, veteran, smash. There's no growth to where you can have the 20, 21, 22-year-olds come be with you for 2 cycles. It literally is hanging on to folks too long and not fixing the problem with younger players, but fixing the problem by thinking you can put in more veterans and that'll fix the problem, and it doesn't, and you stick with your tires in the mud the whole time.
Exactly, and that's what for Germany worked out for a while. I mean, for a long time. I want to say for like I don't know how many years, decades, that there were only veteran players in the national team. And Germany, if you go to history of the World Cup, is probably, I mean, if in the whole picture, I think Germany got better numbers than Brazil, even though Brazil got 5 cups and Germany has 4. All right, so this is right there for me. Overall, Germany is the best team in the history of the cup if you combine all the numbers. But what I'm saying is that usually in Germany there were veteran players. 82, 86, 90, reaching the finals in 3 consecutive World Cups. But then it came after the 2002. After the 2002, and then when the Jurgen Klinsmann takes the national team in 2000 for the 2006 World Cup, they were like, all right, we're missing something up here. We're messing up here. Let's change it, and they started to work. And it took 10 years from 2004 to 2014 to get back into the finals and to win again. And now they gotta redo it again. They get into another cycle because the game changed. The game changes every day, brother. Every day. We were just having a discussion about the number 10 in Peru that they were complaining about. Wow, there's no talented number 10. We should retire the number 10 because there's, brother, the number 10 per se doesn't exist anymore in the game. You don't have that creative player that was the number 10. No, that doesn't exist anymore. That's why we got the 6 and the 8s now. What is it's a different dynamics. So don't talk to me about that we're missing a number 10. We don't have it because the game doesn't need a number 10 nowadays.
Yeah. We always say here on the show, and this is a point that Jason made a long time ago, that formations are kind of like a loose construct. Don't lock yourself into the idea of a static formation as to how a team is going to approach a match. That doesn't happen these days.
No, it's about the momentums of the game. You got the build up, you got the progression, you got the finish. Depending on what momentum of the game you are, the type of structure that you use for the game. You know, it's a 4-2-3-1. No, if you see, it's amazing when you see it from the top. These views that you got from the top, and you see how the pieces are moving. The structures usually go into 2-3 players at a time per line. It doesn't go, it's 5 in the back. No, there's not 5. There's 2 now. There's 3 now. And you see how the pieces are moving, and it's just the flow of the game is just fantastic. That's why we need to see. I mean, to educate the people in terms of when it comes to tactics. That it's not about it's a 4-3-3. It's not about that, brother. It's about the momentum. It's about how you apply your pieces. Where do you put the players? Who gets the most out of you in what position, and so on and so on and so on. The game is beautiful. It's a beautiful game, but it's a complex game too.
William Wallace was alongside with McLean on the trenches to get it done for Scotland. Topic number 3.
Brother, man, I don't think I recall a game like this with so many spectacular goals in one single game. You see the bicycle kick from McTominay, and then you got the what's that?
The man goes to Italy and he's eating real tomatoes.
Yeah. It's just like when he was at United. I like it when he was at United, right? But many people that didn't. So I don't know. He was the leader on this game. And this brings me to this topic, right? About the 48 team, we're gonna keep talking about World Cup teams because there are more topics in there. But I kind of like it. I kind of like the number of teams now. We kind of extended the drama now because now you got the draw for the playoffs, and the thing keeps going and going and going. By the time we're gonna play in March, the playoffs, and then the World Cup's in June. So it's like we got I don't know, an 8-month World Cup kind of thing. Huh? And it's kind of cool, man. It's kind of cool.
Yep, and when you have a game like we saw with, I've started nicknaming him McTominay because of the Italian influence that Scott McTominay has had. I mean, the dude is styling. He's wearing the Italian custom-made suits. He's got the hair slicked back, kind of like Pat Riley. He's got the handbag, when he's walking into the stadium now, and so he's all glowed up. I mean, he is a different cat now that he's been playing in Italy, and now you've got what happened with the game. You get the man advantage with 30 to go. They score. It's tied. 3 minutes and 34 seconds later, it's tied at 2, and then you get Kieran Tierney who comes off the bench, and He goes through that window and it's 3-2, and then you launch from midfield and it's 4-2, and it's all crazy and people are crying and everything, and it was really cool. And it's fun for me to see that drama here on the last day. And speaking of drama on the last day, CONCACAF had Thunderdome.
Yeah.
And I literally had Golasso on the Big 55 where I'm watching all 6 matches at once. I had the Curacao match here on this particular on the laptop. And so I was going all over the place with Curacao. Good on them for making it in.
It's just beautiful. Beautiful. It's 150,000 people lives in that country, Johnny. It's you went 2 times to the Atlanta United Stadium, and that's it.
That is 2 full Mercedes-Benz Stadia matches for Atlanta United. Literally, that's 162,000 people. If you opened Mercedes-Benz Stadium for 2 big matches, that's
the entire country.
That's the entire country of Curacao. Absolutely.
And do you see what's this Costa Rican coach, the Mexican guy? Forgot his name, man.
Costa Rica. He's probably going to get run out on a rail.
Piojo Herrera, he's another coach, man. That I don't know. Sometimes coaches, you gotta man up, brother. You just gotta man up. I don't want you to say. I'm not saying that you gotta be tough. No. Just man up. Assume your responsibility. And he said, "Yeah, it's my fault." And like, okay. And then he was like all daunting and like, you just lose the spot, brother. So can you be a little bit more humble and apologize at least or something? No. When the character eats alive the person, we have a problem. We have a problem, and there are many of those out there, many.
But you get Curacao, great as a first timer, and we've also followed the story of Haiti with everything that has gone on there with all of the political. And it's the political strife and the violence and everything there. Haiti can't play in their own country. They have
the hurricanes and
they got to play in Curacao, and they got it done in Curacao. So Haiti is just as great a story, if not greater, than the first timer for everything that they had to fight through to get into the tournament.
I know that reminds me of that. Kinda of that story of El Salvador for 1982. There's a documentary, Johnny. I don't know if you know about it. It's called Uno. Uno. Check it out because it tells you the story. The story of El Salvador going into the World Cup and all they have to go through. There was a war going on in the country. The story is just great. But at that, I was like, all right, this is very similar because all the different stories that they went through, different burdens that they went through in Haiti and El Salvador, but at the same time, they're kind of similar, finding all to overcome all these obstacles that teams like mine, for example, doesn't have to go through. Everybody here is you got a 5-star hotel, you got the charters, you got the flights, you got first class, you got everything. And still you don't qualify, right? So these guys that doesn't have where to play, where to train, and then they go to World Cup. That's remarkable, man. That's just remarkable. I'm so mad about my team right now.
No, that's kind of where we are at this part of the qualifying cycle. It's like you know what you could have done, you know what your team should have done, and you're looking at folks that, for whatever reason, they've got the as it was referred to, they have the garra that it is there, and they find it at that moment. And there was the pregame speech in the Haiti locker room.
I saw it.
Where you have the team captain mentioning that literally they would have Haiti, they would have the people of Haiti laying down money at the players' feet that was the equivalent of like $7.50 US. And because they don't have water, they don't have clean water, they don't have all the food, but because of the sense of pride that they have and everything that they've accomplished to that point, the people of Haiti would lay their money down at the feet of those players for everything that they have accomplished so far, and they go out and get the result that they needed to get into the World Cup.
I know, and I said this many times during my broadcasts. Um, which fuel gets the most out of you? The fuel that you give, the hunger for glory, or the hunger for survival, right? It's a different kind of fuel. Sometimes the hunger for glory is better because it's better quality and ended up being dominating the other team. But sometimes hunger for glory, that fuel,
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah,
careful with that.
and when you have a team that is motivated by those kinds of things, they can be very, very dangerous in
Oh
a
yeah.
good way because of they're just laying it all out there every single time. It's like, we're going to go 100 miles an hour and you try and catch up with us and we're going to do our thing and we're going to represent our country the best way. And I keep mentioning this as requested required reading for folks. John Arnold did a great piece at ESPN.com about what Haiti has been going through. And after the assassination of the nation's president, I want to say 3 years ago, you have all of the gangs and all of those kinds of criminal element that are really in charge of the country now, and they can't play at the national stadium because once the president was assassinated a couple of years ago, the lead gangs were like, oh, that place looks kind of cool, we're going to take it, and they have. So literally, that's the kind of thing that you're dealing with in Haiti day to day, stuff that we can't imagine. I mean, we have first world problems about internet going out, phones going, Twitter not working, Haiti.
Oh my God, what are we gonna
Right.
do?
And so you've got that ain't Haiti, man. I mean, it is an entirely different animal, and they have my profound respect for persevering the way that they have to get into the tournament. Next to last topic. Peru couldn't win even with an international friendly, but I'm not worried. I'm not. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm not because I understand the
Okay.
process. People here don't understand the process. This culture here, where everybody wants to go first, and everybody ended up being the last ones. And this is a culture that we have here that the I want to get the things right now. I want my car right now. I want the money
Mhm.
right now. But I don't want to do all the work that requires to get all that money to get what I want. No, I just want it now. Why Peru doesn't win? Why Peru? Because we don't have a permanent coach. We are in an interim coach process now. We just got renewed the entire roster, and I see talent to work with. I see the talent to work with. It's going to be some time. It's not going to be the next month or the next 2 months, or maybe it's going to take us a year or two or three. Or I don't know. But if we keep doing what we're doing, and keep the players that play the same players that we just call now, because this is the group. I like this group under 30. Between 23 and 30 years old. Of course, we got Pedro Gales is the oldest one. But if we keep this core of players, we'll get there where we need
Okay.
to be.
And Gillespie looking for a home in Major League Soccer or someplace else where it can fit his massive salary. So that's going to be one of the storylines in Major League Soccer in the offseason. And the story that you've been keeping an eye on when it comes to TV rights and things like that. The Last Dance in Liga Uno Universitario, the protagonist, and YouTube. Okay, hit me with this.
Brother, this is the biggest precedent, brother. Biggest precedent here because we just had an issue, not an issue, but at the end of the story for the Gold Peru, which is what the TV right holder for 10 years, right? 10 years came into an end because Universitario and Sport Boys were the last two teams that had contract with Gold Peru. And now Liga Uno Max, who took over a couple of years ago, they've been having issues, right? Having issues trying to get the contracts with Universitario. Universitario, of course, the president say that you know what, maybe we don't need the TV, because we can just go on YouTube for ourselves, and because we sold out the stadiums every
Mm-hmm.
week, so you can keep your few millions in there because we make a
Yeah.
lot more from the stadium. All right. So Liga Uno Max came up with this plan because Universitario is going to play away, and because it is
Mm-hmm.
Universitario, all right, they were like, all right, we want the people to see this game, but we don't have the contract with these guys. And even when it's an away game, they can broadcast that game, but they want the most people to watch it. Let's come up with a plan. Liga Uno Max on YouTube, free for all.
Okay.
This game. Because in order to get the Liga Uno games, you have to pay an extra for the cable. So you pay $50 for the cable, and you pay an additional $10 for this single channel. Right? That's the model that they've been using, and people everybody watch Pirates. Everybody requires to go. No, it's not me, but I want to see it on live football, free TV. I don't know, where all the after you can get it for free, and you don't have to pay. So there's you want it free? We'll give you free. And I'm gonna tell you next week how it went. All right, but I'm estimating a crowd of in the north of the million people watching this game on YouTube. It's gonna be it's gonna be that massive that they're gonna change the game to see what they're gonna do with Universitario, because Universitario is still. I mean, they ended the contract with the previous company, but they haven't signed yet with Liga Uno Max, which is the TV holder of the league. All right, so but Universitario Deportes is the biggest one, and is the 3 times champions, and I don't know, brother. You gotta come up with a nice and sexy plan to lure Universitario Deportes, because be careful with that. But I'm gonna tell you how it went next week after this Saturday, and because it's free, I'm gonna call it in Spanish. So I'm gonna put on my thing, and I'm gonna call the game in Spanish from TikTok. I'm gonna work something out. You'll see it. You'll see it. It's gonna be here on X too. So you get to see me calling a game in Spanish, brother.
Get to see get the goal cam, the booth cam aiming right at you.
And then you can see the players too. That's awesome, man.
And I mean, we see it in Liga MX with teams that have contracts with different cable channels for their home matches. If it's an away game, then they don't have the deal. But for the home matches, you have different cable companies that sit there and they talk to teams individually about getting gigs. With Toluca, they've always got the afternoon time slot that's on TUDN, like a 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. If Toluca's at home at Nemesio Diaz, they've got that time slot. That's their home game. So I will be intrigued as to how it looks with you and what is going on this weekend. In addition to booth cam and people and call-in matches in Spanish, what else do you have going on this weekend, my friend?
I got the finals of the Uruguayan Championship with the Clásico, Peñarol versus Nacional. Live on GOLTV, brother, on Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Get there, get ready, because this is the oldest Clásico in the planet outside of the UK. Edition 556. 556, matches between these two guys, man. That's a lot of history right there.
Right now, juice boxes have Peñarol at a plus 108. 90-minute draws a plus 213. Nacional is a plus 243.
Yeah, I think Peñarol is going to take this one. I think Peñarol will take this one. I don't know, Diente Lopez Weiss, he's having a massive year for Nacional. But I think that Peñarol overall is a more compact team, very elaborated. They got more weapons, and I think they're gonna take it. And plus, they won the Apertura, they won the Clausura, they won the Nacional. Didn't win a single tournament in the year, and I'll be so mad if they win. I'll be so mad, to be honest. And so I don't have to win anything, and I can win it all in a 2-leg series. No.
Oh, of course. Right now on Liga Uno Max, it is Liga Uno Max Radio. That is what they're showing right now as they're blowing through everything when it comes to all of their content. As always, my friend, great to see you. Great to catch up. Great to take the tour of the planet, and especially in South America and the cup that the world's chasing after in 26. Be safe. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will catch up with you. May the pipes be pipey. May everything be the way that it's supposed to be, as we can't wait for Peñarol and Nacional. We'll catch up with you again next week. Great to see you, my friend.
See you guys. Take
There
care.
goes
Bye-bye.
Nino Torres, everybody. And it's always great to catch up with Nino and find out what's going on around the planet. Oh, shoot. Today's the 20th. Okay. We got to figure out Thursday because next Thursday is American Thanksgiving. And so I got to figure out if Nino and Nico can go either on Wednesday or Friday. So American Thanksgiving is the 27th. And so we've got to figure out, let's see if then maybe they can slide to Wednesday or Friday. So I've got to remember that now. So I've got to remind them. I'll talk to them. I'll email them. We'll figure it out. But yeah, either Wednesday or Friday, we'll figure it out. But yeah, next Thursday is American Thanksgiving. Obviously, we ain't got no show because I'm hopping into a car and driving 2.5 hours to be with the in-laws and such. So next week, normal except for Thursday. Thursday, once again, no show. Spend time with your family. Be ready for everything that's going on for Thanksgiving. And then we'll figure that out. Ricky was mentioning it's not even a Five Stripes Don't Stop. It's one of those, it was a thing that was posted at 10 on Atlanta United's 280 character app. And it has to do with and it's a picture of a calendar, and they're saying it's a busy day with yoga class. And it's a person, and the emoji is a person in the lotus position, which I did not know you could have as an emoji. So anticipating something toward the end of Niko Moreno's segment, because usually when they post something cryptic at 10 o'clock, it's usually at 11 o'clock when they let us know what in the wide world of sports is going on. I have no earthly idea what this is. And like I said, and I have no intel. And I'm being honest with you, I have no outside intel. I have no idea what it is. It literally is a calendar with this date circled saying yoga class and an open roof at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for today. And so it's all over the place. And, is it possibly playing Norway in a friendly for the U.S. men's national team as we piece it together? Because some folks are sitting there and they're looking at Erling Haaland. So it could be something involving the U.S. men's national team in Norway, maybe. If Erling Haaland is there and you're announcing a date of a friendly, perhaps. Or shoot, maybe Atlanta United's playing Norway. I don't know. I have no idea. But my guess might be, like I said, this is me kind of figuring things out on the fly here. So if it's yoga class and you've got Haaland, maybe it's a friendly for the U.S. against Norway at some point. Obviously not today, considering today is the day that they have yoga class. But I don't know. We'll keep an eye for 11 o'clock Eastern, and we'll see what it means. But my gut tells me USMNT friendly versus Norway at some point between now and the time that the cup that the world is chasing after is going to be laid out for us. So that is that's the rundown from around the planet. And so it's the last half hour of the show on a Thursday. And so we go from Lima, Peru to the Pacific Northwest. We go from PERU to the PNW. And find out what's going on in Major League Soccer, find out what's going on because there's some names that are being floated when it comes to off-season moves. We got off-season moves and roster moves to talk about around Major League Soccer as we get ready for the round of 8 in the playoffs. And for that, we bring in our buddy from Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports, our buddy Niko Moreno, where it is Thursdays. Oh, and he's got stuff going on behind him with that monitor now. You're dialing it up, dude. Look at that.
What's going on there, John? SDH family, what's going on? Excited to be on here on a Thursday, of course. And yes, we're trying to play around with the backgrounds. I'm working on that other wall too. So, we're going to have multiple backgrounds here in a little bit, but just getting it dialed in all thanks to that SDH checks coming in nice and slow. You know what I mean?
Right there with you, brother. I can know exactly what you're talking about the slow checks coming. All right, a couple of things that we need to get into. I know we've got to get into the round of 8. I know that we've got to get into juice boxes and what you think about those matchups, but we got some players news to get into and player reports to get into, specifically a couple of the roster slots that are there in Seattle. There's interest from Liga MX teams and folks in Chicago. Teams have been making their end of season roster moves, and they can do that for the next 3 weeks. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, we could start there. There's been some actually some developments that I haven't quite shared. Obviously, it's nothing that is going to get national headlines, but John Bell, he is a guy who I had reported had interest from Chicago. It could be a potential landing spot. A second team has come around, and they're actually in negotiations with John Bell, and is Austin FC. Which is, I think, a good fit for a guy like John Bell. Look, if John Bell brings anything to the table, is a guy that is defensively sound. He has versatility. He could play at left back. He could play center back. He's a guy that has a very high floor, and I think that for a club like Austin that last year, there were so many inconsistencies. Having a guy like that in the back line, experience, physical, a locker room guy, a guy that plays with the chip on his shoulder. I still remember the very first time I talked to John Bell after he felt like he was let go from San Luis in a almost unfair fashion. He thought he could have been there longer. So to me, that's a good fit, for a guy that is looking around the league, testing the free agency market. If there's a possibility to come back to Seattle, that'd be great for Seattle. But if not, I'm happy for John Bell that he is, checking his options out there.
He also mentioned a couple days ago, and this is the first chance we've had to catch up with you about it, but you think that JP, Joao Paulo's time is done in Seattle?
Yes. So there's a couple of players that are very likely gone. One is Ryan Kent, whose option was not picked up. He's a guy that comes at a high salary, and unfortunately for Ryan Kent, his time here was plagued with injuries, and obviously that's something that is difficult to. You have a limited amount of time to prove what you got on the field. And I thought he did that sporadically. He wasn't as consistent and as dynamic and maybe as impressive as we might have initially thought that was going to go. But, he's a guy that was very reliable at times, and that he was a contributor and a guy who you could trust bringing in on the field. But at this particular time, and that's why Seattle not picking up the options, not surprising. What you got out of it didn't quite reflect the salary. So you don't pick up the option. You try to figure out if there's a way to bring him back, but he's likely gone. Paul Rothrock is the other one that I could almost say that I'm very sure that he will not be back, simply because he's looking at the open market. He's testing the free agency at this particular time. There just doesn't seem to be a situation where negotiations are close enough from what Paul Rothrock and his camp want to what the club, the Sounders, are willing to offer him. And that'd be a loss for the team for sure. Paul Rothrock has been a guy that you've seen it all, right, John? We've talked about it here. And it's not just change your jersey, your Messi jersey, for a Paul Rothrock. I mean, he's done it on the field. He's been productive. He's a guy that has all of the intangibles. He's a spark plug coming off the bench. He has the attitude. But I do believe that there's a limit on what he can provide in terms of that salary. And I think that's where Seattle's laying the line. They're saying, look, we really want you to come back. We appreciate everything you've done, but this is how much we're willing to pay. And if his camp is just a tad higher, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 more, at this particular time, there's no intent from Paul Rothrock's camp to come down from that expectation. So I think he's another guy that's likely going to be leaving. And JP, I think retirement is on the horizon for him. He's a guy that, look, he's put his heart and soul into his career. He left the ACL on the field for this Sounders team to get a CONCACAF Champions League title. He's been a locker room guy. He's been a mentor. He's a warrior. They call him El Maestro, some of the guys on the team, because he does have that IQ. He's a student of the game, right? He's always getting better. But the reality is that between Father Time, that's always undefeated, and a very rough career and injuries, his body, you could see it. It ached last season, and him getting back, it was just hard for him. Now he loves the game. So I think that there's still potential that he wants to continue to be a player and maybe go elsewhere if that's the case, or maybe take a real big pay cut and stay with Seattle. But right now, it just feels like there's going to be no resolution. Obviously, my reports were that his option was not picked up, and that's absolutely accurate. So there's two options. Either he goes elsewhere, tries to get what he's hoping to get out of a salary. He takes, I'm guessing, a pretty big pay cut, stays with the Sounders as a player, or he's talked about it at some point, maybe look into the coaching side of things, right? So can he be a Gonzalo Pineda or a Andy Rose that, they go right off being players and get ready to go and be a assistant coach, and then eventually a head coach.
Yep. And so we keep an eye on what's going on there. But yeah, the Rothrock thing, we talked about it last week with especially the financials. And you're looking at Rothrock probably wanting 500,000-600,000, maybe as much as 800,000, and currently that would be like 8 times what he's currently making, because I think he's just making over 100, and so I think that would be a large demand if you're trying to keep Paul Rothrock around, especially with all of the other roster decisions you have to make. I could see them possibly going somewhere in the middle, 400 to 500, but I don't know if Rothrock would want to go to the middle, and I think that he would probably want to max out while he can. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, as I said in previous shows, it might not seem fair, but I don't want to call it inflation and the tariffs or whatever. I really don't. I'm just kind of playing around with it. But the reality is that players that come from abroad that have other type of profiles, even if they are not as productive on the field, at times their salary is set at a certain place, that a guy like Paul, who came in as a walk-on through the back door, earned his spot, was able to be productive. He might take him a lot longer to get to that spot of that 700,000-800,000. And that's just the way of the game. And it might seem unfair, but that could go across the league. So, when he hits the open market, I wonder if in MLS there is a team that's willing to pay him what he expects to make, when, as I just mentioned, there is kind of that non-official baseline that all clubs kind of abide by. And for a guy that, again, he is a domestic player, he's a guy that kind of came into the scene pretty late, he might just have to take that 600,000 and then earn his way up to that 800,000-900,000 at some point. Or maybe he goes out of MLS and there is a team that's willing to pay him what he wants to make.
Yep. You mentioned going out of MLS. Liga MX is interested in kicking the tires on Brian Gutierrez out of Chicago. And I'm intrigued about that one, because we all know that they're going to come at you with the pocketbook, and it's going to be a decision that you got to make. And it's like, are you going, you staying, what are you doing? And you've got a couple of players that are going to be either leaving or going Liga MX, according to Tom Bogert. Monterrey has submitted the bid to sign Gutierrez. Once again, he had 11-4 last year. He just got his Mexican passport. You've also got a couple of easy transactions, I think, for San Diego, where they pick up options and you're like, yeah, no, that was a no-brainer. You pick up the option on Verhoeven, you pick up the purchase option on Luca Bambino. Those were two guys that were integral in your first year, and to me it was no-brainers to pick them up and keep them in-house, considering what they did, and also considering you lost out on Milan Olaski for whatever reason. He signed with Philly, and it's like they didn't come up on an agreement. It's like the loan was over. Hey, let's come up with something. Olaski's like, okay, here's my number. San Diego's like, here's our number. You can't agree, and so he gets shipped back overseas to his parent club. Long enough time to pack, basically, and then bring everything back over. Philly signs Olaski. We see what Olaski's done. I think San Diego learned their lesson in inking Verhoeven and Bombino after losing out, for whatever reason, on Milan Olaski. So they're keeping 2 dudes and not losing 2 more.
Absolutely, and they should have learned their lesson, because, and that's a lesson that a lot of new GMs can be hit with, because sometimes it feels like you're doing your job by protecting the salary cap integrity and saying, look, there's only so much I can do for you on this side. But when I look at Olaski's 500,000 plus that he's making in Philadelphia, to me, that's a steal. That's a steal for a guy at a caliber, a guy that had proven it to you on the field. And that's the other part that I don't understand. He did it, right? He came on a loan. He did it. Pay him his cash, man, especially because those type of goal scorers don't just come and go anywhere in any league. So it is difficult. I love Bambino. I think Bambino's a guy that had a monster season, right? A breakout season, a guy that I did not have on my bingo cards to have this sort of season. Went into the national team scene as well. So 2-way player. That was absolutely a no-brainer. So I definitely do believe that there are some of these moves that, as you said, they are no-brainers. But sometimes when you hit the negotiating table, everything is fair. It can go absolutely anywhere.
Yeah, and it definitely did that with Olaski. A couple of other teams. You have until December 10 to figure out what you're doing. So you got 3 weeks left for the clubs that are still in the playoffs and everybody else. You still have until December 10 to figure out what you're going to do and what your renewals and your contracts are going to be looking like for next season. Orlando City, the purple team, has made their announcements. They declined options on Mercado, Shaq Muhammad, and Fabian Loyola. Cesar Arujo and Pedro Gallese out of contract. Negotiations with Robin Johnson and Kyle Smith, and a new contract with Wilder Cartagena. I mean, Gillespie with his price point, that to me, no shock that you weren't going to renew his contract. But, Loyola would have been a decent option financially, but out of contract. Arujo, Gillespie, and you're negotiating with Robin Johnson and Kyle Smith and Wilder Cartagena. You got a new deal. Early thoughts on what the purple team's doing?
They're playing it safe. And the Cartagena situation gives you both a team-friendly salary with the guy that is a workhorse and can do a little bit of everything, and you're getting rid of the guys that are the cost, or not getting rid of, but you are not tying yourself up to guys that just have the salary a little bit higher and that maybe have not been as consistent as you wanted to. Look, Araujo is a guy that I really liked, and he had one season that I thought he was unreal. He was on my MLS 11 at the end of the year. But then after that, he just couldn't quite keep it together. There was a lot of moments where you thought that he was going to be a cornerstone for this team, but he never proved it. He wasn't an Ojeda that, man, that guy just came out to play, right? He wasn't even a Gillespie that at one point he was one of the leaders in his team. So that's exactly why I think that Orlando and Oscar Pareja specifically, who apparently has no fear of being let go, obviously, and they're giving him that the vote of confidence, and he's gonna just redo this team, reorganize it, and figure out what it is that didn't quite work last season. And I think one of those was the lack of dynamism from his center midfield. So they might go a different way than Cesar Araujo.
Yep, and you also have to keep an eye on Alex Freeman, and it's going to be a decision for that front office. You know that the purple team's going to want to keep him, but you also know that folks are going to be kicking the tires on Alex Freeman.
No, I think he's gone. There's just too much.
Okay.
There's too many rumors, let's call it. His name is everywhere. I make a call, and his name is out there. I mean, when I'm hearing about it, which, I'm in the lower totem pole with all these sharks out there. But definitely he's a guy that all you have to do is just kind of open the window and you hear his name being called out by some European teams.
Alex
After
Freeman.
absolutely. And after are a huge part of that red hot start for the UN Smith national team, and you score 2 out of the 5 that went into Uruguay.
Yep.
I mean, that gets you places. If there is a things as good marketing when it comes to being a soccer player, scoring 2 in Uruguay is top of the line, baby. So yeah, he's definitely a guy that I think will be out of there,
especially after the World Cup, because you're talking summer transfer window and end of the tournament, and you got to figure out, okay, what's your future with that 1 year left on his deal. Maybe it's that summer window if he's still rolling with the national team that you might hear some news with Alex Freeman. Nashville declined Acosta, Brugman, Eck, Julian Gaines, Tate Schmidt, Wyatt Meyer, and Joe Willis, which I thought was interesting. Probably looking hit him as maybe a lower price point. I don't know. Out of contract, Teal Bunbury, Taylor Washington, who retired at the end of the season, and Walker Zimmerman. So I'm thinking you're looking at price point for Willis and Zimmerman, and Bunbury. I'm thinking anybody that wants to chase after Bunbury is looking at price point. And the fact that I think Teal just had his 412th birthday. I think that's kind of what you're staring at with Nashville, I think.
Yeah, and Willis, you might be looking a lot of the almost a form of respect. His situation to me with Nashville right now is a lot like Stephen Fry. He was one of the originals for you, right? He has been a good goalkeeper. He's really honestly performed quite well. He wasn't a big name guy, but he performed like a big name guy. And I think that if you want to work on his salary and maybe bring him on and keep your options open, if there is a number 1 that you can go out there and get, and he could be your number 2, I feel like that is very similar to what the Sounders have here. Obviously very differently, because Stephen Fry is definitely an absolute legend for the club. And he could potentially be looking at the same thing, where he comes in at a much lower salary just to be the guy off the bench, and you allow Andrew Thomas to do his thing. So I feel like Nashville is going that route. I think Zimmerman's obviously absolutely gone. I think he'll go out there and get close to what he made last season elsewhere. He's just a big name. He's a big frame guy with a lot of the profile the teams are looking for, and they don't mind paying for that sort of center back. So I do think that he's the one guy that will be leaving. But I think for Nashville, this has to be a big rebuild year to get you a step closer to what I believe BJ wants out of this team, and it's just being more effective on the ball and being able to not allow teams to get games to get out of hand the way they did in the playoffs for this team. So I do believe that there's going to be a lot of movement in Nashville on that end.
All right, the third team is Portland. Contract options declined on Carballo, Christian Paredes, and Matias Rojas. Out of contract, Crepeau, Eric Miller, Hunter Salt, and Dario Zuparic. So now this means that the keepers that you're keeping an eye on, pardon the pun, you're looking at Crepeau, Sean Johnson, Joe Willis. They're out there in the market right now, and if you're looking for a backup or a twos guy that you might have on a yo-yo, you could go out and chase after somebody like a Hunter Salt. But right now, Portland sends out Crepeau out of contract. So Crepeau, Willis, and Sean Johnson, and Gillespie. So you've got 4 dudes out there between the sticks that if you want to kick the tires and you think you can spend some money, you got dudes that you can look at.
Yeah. It's interesting because when Crepeau was taking over the job at Portland, I thought that was going to be a long-term thing, and it really doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I don't know if Gillespie is at this point in time an improvement off of Crepeau. So yeah, I honestly don't like any of those guys. If I'm starting a team and I really want to get going, maybe Pedro Gillespie on a very low number, and very low to his previous salary, of course. So maybe you're paying him 5, 6. I just don't know what he's asking for. And for all I hear, it's a lot more than that. And I'm just not willing to pay for that when it comes to a goalkeeper. To me, the biggest surprise when it comes to the Timbers is Phil Neville staying. I mean, I just feel like he hasn't done enough. He's been embarrassed in the last 2 years in the playoffs and in the last final games. I mean, he's gotten beat down, like played off the park. And I just haven't seen an improvement. And so when we talk about all these moves, the first thing that comes to my mind is, I don't know who the coach is going to be next season. If it is Phil Neville, then I don't even know what he's going to want to go get, because in his time in Portland, I've yet to see what it is that he focuses on. He said defense, he said offense, he said, I don't know. There is no identity to this Portland team. So that's the biggest question for me is Phil. And is he the answer to what the Timbers want? Because I just don't see it right now. It's good for Seattle. I know a lot of fans. This is a true story. I have fans that we've at times when I go drop off my daughter at Starfire, they're like, "Hey man, let Phil Neville be in Portland. We would love to just keep the guy there so we can continue to beat that team down." So there is that understanding that Phil might be dragging that team down.
All right, we got 4 matches to get into here this weekend. Vancouver, and this one is Saturday night late, 9:30 kick. Vancouver favored against LAFC at a plus 114. LAFC is a plus 200. 90-minute draws a plus 250. What do you think?
That's the game that I'll be looking for this weekend. There's everything to like about both teams. I think Vancouver is a team that, depending on how healthy they are, you could see the highest potential of that team specifically. LAFC has the guns, but Vancouver has the collectiveness. They have the cemented team behind the electric guy like Thomas Mueller. Son doesn't stay far behind, though. He's a guy that has that team rolling in all cylinders. But I like the balance, and I like the consistency and the ability to play off script that Vancouver gives you. I feel like LAFC needs the game to go a certain way. And I think that the biggest example for me is that first game against Austin in the playoffs, where things just didn't go their way. They got bounced off the ball. It was one bad miss, and then they just couldn't get it back. Vancouver, to me, just has more ways to stay in games like this. And that's why I'm taking Vancouver. I'm taking Vancouver nice and easy. I'm taking Vancouver.
Yep, you are not alone in that, because of BC Place being a very, very tough place to play, and traveling up there always seems to be a bit of a pain in the butt. And it's just it's an odd home field advantage that Vancouver has on Saturday night. Sunday doubleheader, 5:00 in the afternoon. Messi and friends travel to TQL to take on FC Cincinnati. They are a prohibitive favorite, albeit on the plus side at a plus 120. 90-minute draws a plus 274. FC Cincinnati a plus 177.
Yeah, this one's close. And I've been doubting Inter Miami the entire playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to stop. I'm taking Cincinnati. I do believe that Cincinnati, if they got through a Columbus Crew team that had all the motivation, they had a phenomenal coach with a great game plan and enough quality on the field to match you up and put you against the wall at times, I think Cincinnati gets through Inter Miami. I don't think that Inter Miami has been in enough brawls. I'm talking about brawls, John. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about you're handling the game and Messi got off and he decided to just go full on Super Saiyan and he scores 3 or 4 goals. Brawls. And I think that you need that in order to beat Cincinnati. You just have to grind out games. They're going to put you in a restraining hold. They're going to occupy the midfield in a certain way. They're not going to allow Messi to have open space. They're going to be physical. To me, Cincinnati has the talent and the physicality to take down Inter Miami. So I'm taking Cincinnati. Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
Take
and
that.
watch me have to eat my words here next Thursday.
Oh, man. Plus 177. You'll take that, too. And then 745, the nightcap, which probably means 755 or 757. Philly hosting NYC. NYC is a big underdog at a plus 281. They are missing some firepower because of injury that happened in the international window. 90-minute draws a plus 252. Philly's a minus 118. Do we even need to go any further?
Wow, I feel like I'm going all chalk here. I literally just realized that I got all number ones in my bracket here coming up. That is just not good. But look, I really like New York City. Really like what they had going on. Love Nico Fernandez. Like what they were doing in the midfield. But man, injuries just destroyed their possibilities. So I can't sit here in all honesty and tell anyone to take New York City FC when Alonso Martinez was the firepower at the end of that spear. I mean, he was their guy. He's the guy that put the ball in the back of the net. And Nico Fernandez is not going to be able to go coast to coast every game like he did against Charlotte and put the ball away in the back of the net. He can only do so much. Yeah. And Andres Perea was another guy that I felt like was very important for this team, and losing him was just as bad as losing Alonso Martinez. So I think Philly with Coach of the Year Cornell, a group that can put it together, plenty of options of goal scorers. I think that they've improved defensively. I think Philadelphia just takes it, and I think this is probably the most locked game out of all of them so far, and that's simply because of injuries for New York City FC. If that was not the case, I'd be trying to figure out who I wanted to pick. Mm-hmm. But those two guys were just crucial for New York City FC.
Last one is going to be Monday Night Football, 10 o'clock Eastern, so 10-12. San Diego FC at the Murph Dragon, favored at a minus 167, going up against Minnesota at a plus 384. 90-minute draws a plus 301. I'm leaning more toward that draw because of how Eric Ramsey wants to go about things.
I'm leaning towards the draw as well. And that's the only way. I'm not going to go chalk on this one because there's a good chance that Minnesota wins that game out of PKs. But I do feel like Minnesota can withstand what Cincinnati throws their way. And look, this is obviously not going to sit very well here in the Pacific Northwest because we're still salty over Minnesota getting the team out, eliminated. But the reality is that they're built for it. And although the Sounders kind of put together a very good blueprint on how to beat that system down, I do feel like this team is playing with a different type of mentality. I feel like they smell blood in the water, if you will, where it's like, man, we just beat a big team. And look, yes, they were the underdog, right? Sounders were the fifth seed, but when it comes to the hierarchy of MLS, they were, they were made guys. They're a top family, and you took them down. So you took him down in an awful game, and I thought that was pretty cool by Eric Ramsey when they eliminate Seattle. There's that video of him on the locker room where he's like, "Look, you guys play like shit." Really, I mean, obviously, I'm sorry about that. You guys played badly. You guys played poorly.
You can look. We've done E ratings in the past. Jarrett comes in, he gives us the E rating after about 15 seconds. It's all good. You can say whatever.
Yep. But yeah, he goes into it and he's like, "Look, we won and we're excited, we're happy, and you guys did it. Well, you guys played poorly and you guys still got through." And I think that's true. I really do believe that can really get a team going, saying, "Look, even when we play poorly, we can beat a team like Seattle. We can hold on and try to make life difficult for San Diego FC." Now, I do believe that they're going to need to do a lot more of the dark arts. I think they're going to have to slow the rhythm of the game. They're going to have to be very physical. There's going to have to be a lot of, hack a shack type of moments so you don't allow this San Diego team to get over on you. But yeah, I like the draw, Minnesota, San Diego.
All right, so what else is going on with you this week at Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports, since you're not going to the Providence and Swedish campground and 5-minute oil change?
Well, that's the biggest question, man. I'm waiting for the Sounders to set up this end of the season presser, man. I feel like I cannot, reach to them anymore. I mean, they're probably like, man, this guy's gotta, just calm down. So it all depends on what's happening. It sounds like maybe next week the team will have that end of season presser. So we'll obviously have that on Pulso Sports. I do plan to do a couple of open spaces for the fans that have a lot of questions. They've been all over my DMs on moves and stuff. So I'm gonna do a couple on my personal X. I will put together end of the season roundtable as well for the Seattle Sounders specifically, of course. And then on Monday with Ari in Lobbins Coaches Kickoff, we will obviously break down the week that was in MLS. We'll look at this game, see how things played out. We're probably going to do a lineup builder for what the Sounders team could look like next year with what we know so far. So the guys that are staying, that we for sure know that are staying, we're going to try to figure out what would happen. What would be the scenario if you started next season with the guys that you do know are going to be here for this team. So go ahead and check that out on Lobbins Coaches, and that's it.
As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to run through everything going on in Major League Soccer and chop it up as we get ready for the round of 8. As always, great to see you. Be safe. We'll catch up with you again next week. We've got to figure out, because Thursday is Thanksgiving next week. So we've got to figure out what your week is like Wednesday, Friday, and figure out how much time you're spending with family. So let me know if one day is better than the other next week, and we'll knock it out at that same 10:30 and 7:30. We'll knock it out on either Wednesday or Friday.
Yeah, I'll tell you Wednesday for sure will be a much better day for me. Friday, I'm totally out.
You're with the fam on Friday, man. That whole weekend is gassed out for you.
Oh yeah, man. Kids coming back home and stuff. Got to be moving them around and stuff. So it's gonna be a busy week. So yeah, Wednesday works, and hopefully we have some more stuff to talk about. With, of course, not just the playoffs, but maybe some new information on moves and stuff from not just the Sounders but MLS. I'm out there, man. I'm out there.
I know you are, and you sell yourself well short, and you undercut all the sources and everything you know. So next Wednesday, 6 days from now at 10:30, 167 and a half hours from now, we'll catch back up again. Be safe, and we'll catch up with you next week leading into Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, boss.
All right, there goes Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart, and he's going to go get his second cup of coffee. Still have no idea what Atlanta United is laying out there on their social with the yoga class calendar notification for today. No idea. Ricky had a bit of a wild hair that it might be AmFam with Manchester City. And it's kind of a wild deal. So we'll see. Ronaldo, Portugal. It might be a Portugal friendly. Okay. So David's thinking Portugal. And so David's thinking Portugal. Ricky took a shot in the dark with Manchester City for AmFam. Will mentions what's going on with Maximum Eck. Does he have a brother named Minimum? I'm just thinking so. Max Eck and Min Eck. I don't know. And I do remember his time at Huntsville City. And Will also says that Maximus Eck hangs out at the supporter section. Now, that's always cool. So when Super Maximus, Latin, Maximus, I think it would be Super Maximus. So it would be Super Maximus Eck. He would be the dad. So Super Maximus Eck hangs out at the tailgate for Huntsville City. So that's why I took 2 years of Latin. 2 years of Latin in high school, 2 semesters in college. Super Maximus Eck. I don't know if that's really his dad's name, but that's how it is in the hierarchy. So, okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. It's Women's Champions League today. Oh, if you want to watch what's going on in Division I for college, it's all on the Plus. Pick your matchup, and you can watch the Plus all day long and follow along what's going on with the colleges. So if it's below there, Division II, Division III, NAIA, go to your favorite institutions' social media. They should have links to let you know where things are. Some of the NAIA is on the Urban Edge Network. I think Division II, Division III is handled by NCAA Sports, so it's through the individual schools that they're looking at you're looking at that there. So that's where it is. That's where it's laid out for college. Today, it is Women's Champions League, and there's 4 matches. 12:45, it is Twente and Atletico de Madrid. Atletico de Madrid favored on the road at a -114. 3 o'clock, 3 matchups. Barcelona at Chelsea is probably the marquee, one of the marquees. Barcelona is a -250, Chelsea a +419. Leuven is a dog at home going up against Roma at a +295. Roma's a -145. PSG at home at a +280, hosting Bayern Munich at a -135. So those are the matchups today. And they do the same in the Women's Champions League that they do with the men. It's now just all one group, and you're in the group stage and everything. Right now, Roma has lost their first 3. They need to win. PSG has lost their first 3. They need to win badly. Right now, in the first 3, Lyon has played 4 matches. They have got 10 points. Barcelona, Wolfsburg, Manchester United, 9 points. Barcelona has a match in hand, so if they win today, they're once again top of the group stage table at 12 points. Chelsea's at 7. Real Madrid is at 7. Juve is at 7. Chelsea has a far superior goal difference. Arsenal is 8th at 6 points. Bayern Munich has a match in hand at 6 points, but their goal difference is on the minus side. Paris FC is at 5 points. Vålerenga is at 4. Superior goal difference to Leuven, but Leuven's match in hand is being played today. So far out, if you were to stop everything today in the playoffs to get into the knockouts, Atletico de Madrid, Twente, Benfica, St. Pölten, PSG, and AS Roma, they would be out. 12 make it to the knockouts, and it is 6 that would not. So we've still got a while, but right now Women's Champions League is going on today, and you can watch that either on CBS Sports Network at 12:45 and 3. 3 o'clock is PSG and Bayern for them. ESPN Deportes, same thing at 12:45. They run that first match. Their 3 o'clock selection is Chelsea and Barcelona. Paramount Plus has all 4 of the matches at 12:45 and at 3 o'clock. And I'm going to check quickly with our friend at the Cherry Cheat Sheets and find out what it's going to look like on so it's Cheat Sheet Guy. If you ever want a grid that's far better than anything that I talk about, follow at Cheat Sheet Guides, Cherry's Cheat Sheets on the 280-character app. And today is up. And so he has posted today. It is League Match Day 4 out of 6. Women's Europa Cup round of 16 second legs are going on this afternoon, and apparently they are not being televised. You have 4 friendlies that are up and running. It is they're on. You got 2 of them on YouTube. One is on something called Triller TV, and then Peterborough. So Posh in Stockport County, that is also on Paramount Plus. And Peterborough United is currently where Vicente Reyes has hung up his shingle. So if you're interested in catching up on Posh, you can do that. Liga MX's play-in round is tonight, and it is at 8 and at 10. Pachuca and Pumas and Tijuana and Juarez. That's on 2 to NA, the doubleheader there. Liga MX's Femenil Finals, the first leg is free on ViX with Club America and Tigres. That's at 9 o'clock. Brasileiro is on Fanatis with 4 matches at, and this is cool. It is 2, 4, 5:30, 7:30. So they don't really run over each other. So you can start your day on Fanatis and watch the entire Brasileiro. Juventude Cruzeiro, Bahia Fortaleza, Corinthians Sao Paulo, and Ceará and Internacional. You also have on Fanatis Trinidense and Timbateri in the smaller divisions. Club Nacional and Ameliano is on Fanatis. RCN, Nuestra Tele, and Fanatis has Atlético Nacional and América de Cali. That is at 6:30, I believe. So if you're really hardcore and you want to watch a great rivalry matchup, it's going to be on Win Plus and on Nuestra Tele and Fanatis. Atlético Nacional, América de Cali, and then Alajuelense and Cartagines is on Telecentro out of Costa Rica. That is at 9 o'clock. So that's Cherry Cheat Sheets. Follow along at Cheat Sheet Guy on the Twitters and on the 280, and you can follow along there all day long. So I know we're still waiting on this Atlanta thing. So I don't know what it is. My guess is that it's going to be, like I said, I think that the Holland or the Ronaldo bit, I think that's barking up the right tree or the correct tree. Still nothing there on the Atlanta United Twitter or on Mercedes-Benz's Twitter as well, just to keep you updated on everything going on. Extended national team, we wanted to keep you posted on everything going on in the Deaf Olympics before we get out of here. U.S. Deaf men's national team with a win. They are now in the semifinals in the Deaf Olympics in Tokyo with a 2-1 win over Brazil. And that was a big win for them as they're now in the semifinals. And the Power National team took home their third America's Cup trophy, winning the APFC America's Cup. That was held in Arizona, and that was wrapped up yesterday as well. Still active are the women's team in the Deaf Olympics as well, and they've got, I think, a couple of days. They won 12-0 over Australia their last time out yesterday, and so now they are waiting for the next opponent in their Deaf Olympics. Emily Spreeman scored 5, Mia Whitehead 3, Ani Kashadurian had a brace, and Erin Sembrale and Tia Lebrecht each had goals. 12-0 win for the women's Deaf national team as they knocked out Australia. And so keeping an eye on them as they continue on the last dance for Sydney Andrews, Emily Spreeman, Kate Ward, and the two coaches as well that have been there for the longest time. And so they're trying to go out with a 5th matchup that we have for the Deaf national team as well. So keeping an eye out on all that stuff at the Deaf Olympics as we go forward here on a Thursday. Once again, reminder, tomorrow we're going to catch up with Kaylor Hodges. Kaylor Hodges is going to talk about the USL Championship, Pittsburgh and Tulsa, and anything else going on. We've had a couple of hires and fires, and we'll go through everything in USL Championship. That's going to be tomorrow. Major League Soccer is going to touch base with us tomorrow. We'll catch up with one of the voices from Apple TV, as we always do. Kirk Reynolds has done yeoman's work this year at Major League Soccer to make that segment happen all season long. And we'll see if we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. I think it's Greg Garza's turn, but he might be working with Major League Soccer. Next time that Greg is on, I do want to talk about what's going on with his work with the council with Major League Soccer. I want to get into that discussion with him next time. We'll get into that talk as we go, but that is tomorrow. So it's going to be Kaylor Hodges, the USL Championship preview, Apple TV, one of the voices of the weekend, and possibly what we're going to have with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring with either Greg or Parkey, and we'll find out what's going on from there and get you set for the weekend, because we're getting back into league play in other places as well with Europe and all of that. We'll go into those juice boxes and previews and everything like that. Set your fantasy teams accordingly, and we'll roll from there. And that's another go-round of everything here at SDH AM. As always, thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. Thanks to Nino. Thanks to Nico. Thanks to y'all, which is always choice D, all the above. And I'm going to hit refresh one more time and see if anything has happened with Atlanta United and their yoga class. So did anything happen with yoga class? The answer is no. So we are all lying in wait for yoga class in Atlanta United to find out what in the wide world of sports is going on. I imagine the second we sign off is when they'll make the announcement. So keep an eye out on your socials, on your emails, notifications, season ticket holder stuff, all of the things. For everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by. A little less than 22 hours. We'll be back at it here since it's the end of the show. It means I get to do this. Play it safe. Mucha plata. We'll catch up with you on a Freestyle Friday tomorrow morning at 9:05 Eastern.